Graffiti is a movement seen historically as dating back to ancient Roman times. Graffiti is considered a newer form of expression, exploding universally in the 1960s. Graffiti can be viewed in three different ways. First, graffiti is a means of projecting one's political viewpoints. Banksy, a famous English graffiti artist, political activist, film director, and painter, uses dark humor in the stenciling style to express social commentary with regards to politics. A historically recent Egyptian revolution began on January 25th, 2011. It immediately gave rise to a wave of popular political and social expression in the form of graffiti. Secondly, graffiti is a means of expressing social statements. Gang messages that consist of mainly tagging in large cities are used to mark territory. Statements reflecting ethical values are a social statement for a community's feelings. This type of graffiti is a means of call to action.
Third and finally, graffiti is a means of sharing life stories. Just across the bridge is a city that houses over 600 significant pieces of graffiti, commonly known as murals. Its colorful beauty and narrative reflect many life stories that historically divided the population of San Francisco, from the history of the Mission District and Cesar Chavez, a famous advocate for farm workers, a labor leader, and a civil rights activist.
Graffiti in many cases is used to tell a story or send a message through art. The message left from graffiti does not necessarily differ from the traditional art forms. Famous French artist Degas said, "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see." This altered from Degas' image done by means of graffiti tells a story that is interpreted differently by all that view it.
Graffiti is an art form as it has both an aesthetic appeal and social impact. If a visitor were to look around Drake High School, images are everywhere, transforming campus into a living, breathing story of its inhabitants. Aesthetically, graffiti virally transforms the walls of the corridors into a representative of the diversity of the students in a visually appealing way. Socially, graffiti created by students speaks the language of those things most significant to them. Examples can be seen in the corridors and in common areas.
Art is traditionally an experience for the upper class. It was often seen as something the elite could only appreciate. Graffiti challenges this concept and opens up the art experience and the expression of art to others outside of the upper class. We honor famous graffiti artists with commissions, art exhibits, replication of their work, and praise.
Art is traditionally an experience for the upper class. Has graffiti opened up the experience and expression of art to others outside the upper class?
Oh, it's everywhere. Yeah. Although a lot of people don't see it as art. I think a lot of people see it as something that's desecrating their trains or their buildings, and yet it's certainly brought out into total public view. If you think historically, though, religious art brought art to the masses in cathedrals particularly.
Yeah.
I mean, those were situations where imagery was used because people didn't read and write.
In conclusion, graffiti brings new culture to society. Like any significant revolutionary aspect, graffiti is the awareness of how people think. Graffiti is a means of projecting one's political viewpoints. Graffiti is a means of expressing social statements. Graffiti is a means of sharing life stories. Graffiti is both the expression of individualism as defined by the belief that the needs of each person are more important than the needs of the whole, and the expression of community as defined by a body of persons having a common history or common social, economic, and political interests.